Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Forever Better Academy podcast. Sometimes the simplest occurrence can reveal far more than what's on the surface. So today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about was, I want to tell you a story. So for those of you that are familiar with the podcast, I live in Australia, and there, especially where I'm from in Brisbane, there is a lot of greenery. The place is very lush. There's trees and parks everywhere. It's a beautiful place to live. Very clean. Plenty of beaches and rainforests, all within an hour's drive. Like, beautiful place in the world. If you ever get a chance to come here, come and see it for yourself. Now, this also extends into basically the way that people live. So ever since I was little, the families have always wanted to have homes that have space and a yard for their kids and raise a family and allow kids to run around in a backyard and play. That's the norm, especially in Brisbane, and one of those aspects is having a yard. It takes a little bit of work, right? So you have to be invested in looking after your home and making it nice. And if you want something, it takes work, right? Like, it's a principle that applies to many aspects of life. So we have a border collie. His name is Alex, and I have two sons. And one day we are out in the yard. So I like to include the boys, just get them off the devices every once in a while and make sure that they're actually aware of their surroundings and part of the world, not just the digital world. And we're outside, and we had to do some yard work. So we had to cut down some trees, mow the lawn, just beautify the gardens a little bit, just clean the place up and maintain it. And we got this brand new Hyundai multi garden tool that can do like hedge trimming, and then you can also attach a chainsaw to it. You can use it as a trimmer for doing the edges on the grass, all kinds of different stuff. Awesome tool, right? And by the way, this is not sponsored by Hyundai in any way. This is just a tool that I got as a gift for Christmas. So we're outside in the garden, and it was, this one bush in particular was very overgrown. Just near our sort of back patio, there's these stairs that come down our yard, and a railing, and then the tree was so grown that it reached up to the roof. So we're like cutting through this tree, and the boys are helping me, and they're moving all the sort of leaf litter and debris and clearing away all the tree as it's falling down. And Alex is excited, he's a dog. People are out and about, and we're in the yard, and we're doing something that he's not quite familiar with. It's different, he's never seen us do this kind of stuff. So he's only he'd be less than 2 years old. So not a puppy, but he's not an old dog at all. So learning new tricks, right? Yeah. So we're cutting through this tree, and all kinds of creatures are coming out of the tree. So you can see there's like spiders sort of escaping, and tons of these sort of big ants that like seem to build a nest in the tree. There's grasshoppers and just there's a lot of creatures that, because it hasn't been cut for so long, it's became a sort of haven for all these like insects and bugs, right? So as we're cutting down the tree, this massive grasshopper, probably about the size of my palm, jumps out of the tree and flies through the air. And Alex, his dog mind was blown. He was just like, what is this thing, right? So watching him is such a funny thing, because like dogs are fantastic at giving us the example of being in the moment, right? They don't, as far as I know, they don't plan for the future. They just, live in the now. And Alex sees this grasshopper like cruising through the air, and his mind is just bam fixated on it. He's like super curious, trying to figure out what why is that piece of the tree flying. He doesn't get it, right? And the grasshopper flies over and lands up the stairs on the wall just near the back door to our house. And straight away, Alex, bam, up the stairs. He's run over, and with sort of complete disregard for his own safety or anything else. He doesn't know, but he's super curious about what this thing is, and he's run straight up to it, right? And he's got his nose on the grasshopper, and he's smelling it, and he's trying to understand what is it doing. And when he bumps his nose on it, it climbs around and it moves, and he's fascinated by this grasshopper, like. And my little boy, he's super scared, like he freaks out, man, if he sees like a cockroach or the grasshopper flying through the air. Like, he's gone. He's like, no, I don't want that thing on me. I'm not interested at all. And Alex is like the complete opposite, right? So he's just, it's weird, watching the dog, and he's only really limited by his lack of knowledge of what is this flying creature, that's coming from the bushes. What is it? He doesn't know. He's never experienced this. It was like a whole new thing that just had him so engaged in what was occurring. And I think, maybe, and naturally, like, this is my perception of what's occurred. I don't know what's going through Alex's head, but what I'm watching is a fascinating thing. And I see that Alex realized, he could go over straight away and satisfy his curiosity. He didn't sort of sit back, and then you couldn't see him, pondering and thinking and processing. Is this a good idea? What could happen if I go over? Is there a danger involved? Is it going to hurt me? Like, nothing in that sort of regard occurs. He's just focused on what's occurring right now in front of his face, and it's taken his interest. So he's gone over to it, and like he could easily ignore what occurred. But if you've ever had a dog or a cat, any kind of pet generally, but especially a dog, they're responsive. They don't ignore things that happen around them. They're so intrigued and curious to understand their environment and the world they live in, that they're always exploring and open and ready to comprehend and understand what they're experiencing, right? So he went over to this grasshopper, and he's just fascinated. He was there for like a good 4 or 5 minutes, just sniffing at it, touching it with his face, and looking at us like, did you see what I see? Like, are you guys not excited? Can you come and look at this with me? Have a look. Check this out. There's this weird thing that's flown out of the tree that I've got to see. I must know what it is, and you guys need to see too. Why are you waiting? Come over here. Like, that typical just energy that dogs, exude, this excitement and joy, right? So he, and the thing is, there could be danger, right? As a human, it's very easy for us to learn from our experiences, and I'm sure to an extent that a dog has that capability as well. If because you see, when you train a dog, if a dog does something and gets hurt, it learns and knows not to do those things again. Not to the capacity that a human has ability to do so, but nonetheless, he understands. Now, Alex didn't know if there was any danger. I mean, he would do the same if it was a poisonous snake, say, had come out of the garden. He probably would have followed it over too. And there is risk in that he doesn't doesn't comprehend and doesn't know till he experiences and goes through it and learns from, the response to his own actions. So he was pure in that moment, not concerned whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but nonetheless, Alex was open to understand what was occurring, and also if it went wrong or if it didn't pan out how he expected, he can learn from that experience. He understands, and he's gone through it, and he has a real world experience, because you can't really educate a dog on you can't tell a dog, don't bite the grasshopper, or don't chase the snake, it's dangerous. He doesn't understand until he goes through it, and then it's instinctual to him. He understands, okay, I was curious, I satisfied my curiosity, I learned from it, and I know this thing, when I see it fly out of the bush, the grasshopper, it's not going to hurt me. I know the smell, I'm familiar with it, I know what it looks like. Oh good, I've learned something. Something has interested me, and now I know better for it. Now, he now knows, what the grasshopper is, and he was completely satisfied. Once he had gone over and he was, he'd shown us that, hey, this is something that's cool, I want to know about. There was like this real, dogs are cool, there's this interesting thing that he doesn't sort of just go and then walk away. Like, there's a sort of sense of pride that he's discovered something. He's sort of strutting around the yard, like very excited because he's included in it. We're doing something and he's involved and he's experiencing it in his unique way and understanding what this means to him and how he interprets it. Right now, the beautiful thing, and the reason why I'm sharing this story with you is, as I say, there's lessons in everything if you're prepared to keep your eyes and mind open and see and absorb the things that are occurring around you, and take the time to not only experience them but to reflect on them and know what lessons you can gain and understand from these experiences. It doesn't have to be my direct experience, right? I watched my little dog, my black and white border collie, my fluffy little funny, energetic, super crazy, intense farm dog, chase a grasshopper. One of the most simple, pure, innocent things. Just a little dog curious about, an animal that's flying through the air, a little insect. But I watch it and I see the lesson in that. It's valuable to share with you guys, which is why we on this podcast today. Alex was satisfied. At the end of it, he understood, he was fulfilled, right? He could have avoided it. He could have been exposed to danger or something that he didn't understand what he was getting himself into. But he still has instinct, and you still know if something is dangerous, you still have a feeling, that gut feeling. You still know when something isn't right and when it's best to avoid. So naturally, I believe, Alex didn't sort of put himself at risk. He just was curious, and he knew that, there's a very small likelihood that this thing is going to, cause him harm. So he let his curiosity guide him. And if you've ever heard, there's a saying, like, I'm sure 99% of the world has heard the saying, curiosity killed the cat. Now, when I was little, I heard that saying, that was the saying. But as I grew older and I expanded my mind and the knowledge and content and experiences and things that I exposed myself to learn more and broaden my horizons, I found that the saying, that's only half the saying. It's actually, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. It takes on a whole new meaning, a whole different context when you get the full picture, right? The complete saying, it takes on a whole new life, a completely different meaning. You think about that I witnessed that in pure, simple innocence of this little puppy dog. Well, as I say, not a puppy, but very young dog. Curiosity led him to take action in something that intrigued him and captured his mind. And once he had followed his desire to understand and learn about what he wanted to learn about, he was satisfied. And he was all the better for it. Right? And that's a lesson we all can benefit from. Something so simple, the dog and the grasshopper. That's why I wanted to share this with you guys today, because it's such an easy to overlook experience and not truly see the lesson that is contained within that, right? And ultimately, as I say, the lesson doesn't always need to come from your own experience. It's fascinating, right? There's a lot we can learn from animals and creatures around us if we're just willing to stop and come back to the moment and be aware and absorb what's going on around us. Be in the moment. That's why it's called in the moment. That's not a saying. It's like it's almost an instruction, right? Everything occurs in that moment. There only is the moment. And we've had I spoke about this in other podcasts. So it's just a short one today, but I think there's as I say, a powerful lesson in that I wanted to share with you guys. So next time that you find yourself, say you have a pet or like a little animal that you see in the wild doing something, watch, pay attention, see what they're doing, learn from them, take that lesson, because as beyond learning from other people, we can learn from other creatures. There's so much more that we can understand from the experience that other living creatures have and the way they experience the environment. All right, guys, thank you for being here. This is Wade Vincent, and as for always, who could you become? All right, guys, I'll talk to you again next week. And until then, if you want more content like this, or you want to dive a little deeper into some resources, some books and things that I recommend that are worth taking the time to read over the weekend, jump on to foreverbetteracademy.com and navigate through the site. There's a whole lot of good stuff there that I'm sure that you will enjoy and will help you on your journey to become the best version of yourself. All right, guys, thanks again, and talk to you soon.